Hi, Matt, the trailer. If you have a 2025 Ram 1500 and you're looking for something that's going to be pretty compact to store on the back of your truck, or you really just to store in your garage for when you're not using it, then the Benton ShiftShow Bike Rack is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. And there's going to be two things that are unique about this rack. And the first is that how compact this really gets. Really, you can just fold those cradles down and the shank into itself, really just for one solid piece. Super easy to store in the bed of your truck. And the second thing is going to be it has a weight capacity of 40 pounds, but it still has the ability to fold back even with bikes on it. So that's not very common with hanging bike racks. You're going to come down here to the bottom, pull on that lever. You might have to move your rack a little bit, and then this will fall towards you. What's great about this is it's going to give you more room to access the bed of your truck or your hatch. Now, we still have the issue of our bed making contact with our rack, and as you can see, we're going to make contact with our tire too. But this is going to be enough, so if you have any smaller groceries or lighter items, you can throw this in the bed of your truck, no problem. Now, if you have anything heavy that you need to rest on that tailgate, I wouldn't recommend doing that because you could damage something. But when you're done, all you have to do at this point is just push up on it and let it seat into place. Now, something that is really noticeable with hanging bike racks are that the front tire does move a whole lot. But what I like about sitting on a truck is typically most people are worried about this handlebar making contact with your back window. You don't have to worry about that in this case. But what we're really watching for is going to be our tire. And you can see how close it comes to a vehicle. And if you're on some really bumpy roads, this is going to get pretty close. If you are really worried about that, I'd recommend maybe getting some type of strap or rope or cable to wrap around your frame and tire so it doesn't pivot as much, so it doesn't get close to your vehicle. If you want to take a closer look at this rack, I'm going to remove my bike. So to do that, I'm going to start by taking off these straps that hold our bike into place. Now, this back one is probably going to be the most difficult one to take off. That's pretty standard for most hanging bike racks. With that one removed, you're just going to repeat that process for the top two. I like that we do have this rubber pad on top just so we don't scratch up or damage anything. Now, I don't recommend putting any carbon frame, alternative frame, or bikes with a really nice paint job on here because it could scratch something off. Now, something else to think about too is those heavy e-bikes. I wouldn't recommend placing them on here because it's going to be pretty hard just to maneuver them, and most times they're going to be too heavy to place on your rack. As you can see here, I'm going to have to waddle it off a little bit, but once it's completely off, then I can take it out for a ride. And we can start putting everything back up. You also notice we do have this kind of padding right here. That's just to protect your bike so nothing gets scratched up. But I like to put everything up just so it's not dangling around as I'm driving. And it gives us more of a clean look when we go around. And at this point, we can get a few measurements just to see how this is going to live up here. So the first measurement I'm going to get is going to be the overall distance that sticks out from your bumper. And this is going to vary because your furthest point on here, if you have bikes fully loaded, is going to be the handlebars of your bike. But for here, I can just get where that end of the rack is sitting, and that's going to be at about 36 inches. And honestly, that's pretty good for a 4-bike carrier, and that's why hanging styles are great. Now, if you want to save some space, you still can. We're just going to come over here. There's going to be this knob that pops out on your driver's side. I'll pull on that. This will lower down and sit flush with our rack. And from here, if I get that measurement, that's going to be at the furthest point about 15 inches. So that's going to save you a ton of space. And then finally, if we get that ground clearance, this is going to sit at about 19 inches, which honestly is great, even if you have those heavier bikes on here, or 40-pound bikes on here fully loaded, that might drop maybe an inch or two. That's not going to make contact with the ground at any point, unless you're in some really crazy areas, but even then, we should be fine. And with just a carrier on here, it's not going to be blocking too much. Really, you're just going to be partially obstructing your license plate. Now, if someone could see this from an angle, they could still clearly see that. And as for your backup camera, that's going to be in a similar situation. We're mainly just blocking the center, but you'll still be able to see on either side of it. Still, I'd still recommend using your mirrors or your back window if you are going to back up. And the way this is going to install is we're going to have this 2-inch shank that goes into your 2-inch hitch receiver. We'll then have an anti-rattle bolt that connects to a nut on the other side. And what that anti-rattle bolt is doing is just giving you more of a snug fit, so this isn't rattling around in your receiver, so everything's a better hold overall. In my opinion, I think this is a great rack if you really are just looking for something that's more economic and you're just trying to get your bikes from point A to point B, and it is something that's really easy to live with. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit more premium, I'd recommend the Yakima Full Tilt Bike Rack, because what's nice about that is it's going to have a lot more premium features built into the rack. Now, where this really stands out though is, like I was saying, it's really compact, really easy to work with. So when I am storing it in my garage, I can really just fold this down when I can pull that pin. And you can see that that shank isn't popping out at all. And when you're out and about, this isn't going to stick out very far. It'll be really easy to store just in the bed of your truck. Just right here. And that'll pretty much do it for our look at the Benton ShiftShow Bike Rack on the Bike Rack 2025 Ram 1500. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.